Yeah.
We got the AD.
Let's, I guess.
Well, we'd have called 911 and had red lights and siren coming in.
God.
I don't have my little pad.
It would have been like,
Knowing my children.
how, like, could you time them and how fast they get here?
I get a kick out of those that don't turn the don't turn the siren on.
Turn off.
Who cares? I don't want everybody knowing. Don't turn it. No, we turn the lights and siren on. The driving rescue truck.
I feel like, although I know that, like, we've called next door and it'll go off and we'll be like, we're just next door.
Okay, let's open this meeting with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, number 2, open public forum. Anybody that's not on the agenda that wishes to speak? Otherwise, we'll move on to approval of the amended agenda. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Against? Motion carries. Number 4, consent agenda. Recommendation to approve the consent agenda as presented. I need a motion on
I'll
that.
make a motion.
Shannon makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Against? Motion carries. Number 5, County Road 158 Reconstruction Improvement Hearing. We'll open this up at 6:31. You want to, or should I go through this quick?
Yeah.
I'll do this real quick. We thank you for taking the time to come and learn more about this project. Please wait until the mayor has recognized you before speaking. Be sure to state your name and address for the minute taker. Be sure to sign in. That way we can note your attendance at the minutes. There should be a sign up going through there. Is it going through yet? Okay. Okay, Brian, you're
All
up.
right. Mr. Mayor and Council, my name is Brian Lynchen. I'm the city engineer for Cold Spring. We're here to talk tonight about County Road 158 reconstruction. A lot of you were in the room 5 months ago when we had our initial improvement hearing. The reason we're having this hearing, we'll go through a little bit more. This is basically a repeat of what we did the first time. So we had to, for a couple of technicalities, basically we had to come in and we had to redo this hearing. So a lot of the information here I'm going to run through pretty quick because it's the same information we had from last time. If there's questions along the way, or we can, once I get through here, we can ask them or however works best. But like I said, most of this it's pretty much a repeat from the first time. So we have the project, same limits, Highway 23, Red River Avenue. The difference and the reason that we're really here is the section from 14th to the westerly city limits about 17th. Thank you. Does that help?
Yeah.
This section was always getting done, including this piece here, which is within the city limits, and that's kind of the key to why we're here. Because that piece is within the city limits, there is a cost share that happens between the county and the city. So really, like I said, that section there, there's a cost share that was not originally included in the estimates, in the assessments, and everything that we did. There was misunderstanding between county staff and city staff as to where that dividing line was. We had always assumed it to be at 14th because that's where the heavy reconstruction was. But because based on the actual cost share policy with the county, because 14th to the westerly city limits is within the city, that cost share applies. So because of that, we have to look and we have to follow the assessment policy. And that policy states that there are accessible properties along that section from 14th to 17th. In order to include them in the assessments and to satisfy the requirements of the state statute for assessing property, we had to recall it, or we had to redo this hearing. So that's really the crux of why we're here, is adding those, there's a couple of parcels that we had to add. So there's additional accessible footage based on the city's assessment policy and some additional properties. Looking at the storm sewer, so this is a little bit of a change from the last time we had our hearing. Last time we had made an assumption on the cost split for the storm sewer. The city was going to assume 10% of the cost. The county was going to assume 90%. In the meantime, we've worked in an agreement with the county that the county is picking up 100% of that storm sewer cost. And then one other reason really why we're here is through the course of the project, we discovered one property that's on a side street that actually gets their sewer and water service from First Street South. Because they're receiving that benefit, the sewer and water, they are included in, we've included them in the assessment roll. Because they're not necessarily a street benefit, but they're receiving a sewer and water benefit from this project. So that's kind of the little bit of a summary of why we're here again tonight, talking about this. Really, the project itself within the city hasn't changed. The bulk of the reconstruction work will take place from 14th to Red River. So from 14th now here, this is on the west end of town. This is 14th down here up to about 17th. This is going to have, and always was going to have with the project, curb and gutter through here and some shoulders. Basically trying to improve the safety of the hill as well as the safety of pedestrians and bicyclists by giving them some shoulder space. Again, this is a, Stearns County has jurisdiction over the roadway. We're going to a 42-foot wide road with grass boulevards, new roadway surface base, sidewalk, basically everything within the right-of-way, brand new. And that county participation, again, is the county covering the center 24 feet of the road and the city covering outside of that. Utilities, we have old water mains, old sewer mains, so the water is mostly cast iron, the sewer is mostly clay. Most of them are over 50 years old. Reached and exceeded the design life. We've done televising to look at the sewer pipes. We have cracks, we have root intrusion. We have a lot of water main breaks up here. So with that comes new services to the homes. Those services go to the right of way, so kind of right behind the sidewalk. And then, as we talked about before, anything beyond that to the house is the property owner's responsibility. But we recommend if the service lines are old and bad and they've maybe given you trouble, you're probably never going to find a cheaper time to replace them to the house than now. Usually there'll be some excavators that come around and they try to get a bunch of the neighbors together and do them all at once. Now would be, we would recommend the time if the lines to the house are giving you trouble, now's the time to replace them. But like I said, that is outside of the scope of the project and would be up to the individual homeowner. And then the storm sewer, replacing the concrete pipe with new concrete pipe as well. Some key dates here. Last time we were in the room was October. We've got updates here in February. We have the new improvement hearing in March. Receiving bids soon. Construction will start here right away in the spring as soon as they can really get in the ground. It's going to take a full construction season. There's a lot of work that needs to get done. substantially complete in September, which means the road will be open, everything will be usable. And then in June, we'll come through and put the last lift of pavement on. We usually like to let it sit over the winter with just one lift. The frost helps to take out if there's any soft spots where the pipe was dug in the service trenches. We'll usually find those over the winter, and if we have to, we can repair them in the spring and then put a nice clean sheet on top. And then the next time really that you'll be back in the room will be October timeframe of this year. That's when we have the actual assessment hearing. Right now, the assessments that you received in the mail are all preliminary. We do our best guess at them, look at our estimates for costs, but really until we receive bids and do the project, we don't know the full extent of the cost of the project. So when we're back in October, we'll have the final costs, and those will be the final assessments. So just looking at the project costs, this is everything from the city limits, westerly city limits into town, about 4.3 million. City portion just under 3 million. There's a number of revenue sources we have for this project. County participation at 1.3, and we also have assessments, and then the remainder of the project costs the city gets a bond or a loan for. So the assessments are broken out into a number of categories. We look at street, concrete walk, sewer, water, services. So the way we calculate these is we divide out all of the costs within the project, group them under these categories, and then we look at the assessable units for each of these. So for example, on streets, we have 8,700 feet of accessible footage on the street. For water services, we have 79 of them. What we do is then we take the project cost divided by that accessible unit to come up with a rate per foot or a rate per each. After that, we apply an assessment discount. So the way the city assessment policy reads is that the homeowner is not necessarily responsible for that entire cost. So for example, on the street, the city is responsible for 65% of the cost. The homeowner is responsible for 35%. The services, the city is responsible for 50% of that cost. The homeowner is responsible for the other 50%. So the reality is that the city is picking up a large chunk of these costs as well. And that's so that we don't provide undue burden on the homeowner. The ones down here at 0 are commercial services, sewer and water. We don't give a discount to commercial properties. And then the last one was for Backus family. They're having, there's some additional sewer and water going in to basically prep for future development. So those things are not given a discount by the city. They're full cost to the property owner. So just a summary here, this is pulling together all of those accessible costs, or those assessments are about 1.1 million in assessment proceeds. It's a $4 million project. Take away the assessments, the county participation, total city expense of about 1.8. That's all I have.
I don't really have anything more
You
to
don't
add.
have anything?
Not anything more to add.
All right, then we'll go on to comments and questions from city council.
Do you have any before you open up to public?
Before we open it up to public, okay. Does anybody have any questions? City
None for
council?
me.
None? No. Okay, then we'll open it up to the audience. We'll go one at a time. Mark, state your name and address to you, okay?
Mark Backus, and we're the Backus property, so we have the 150. First of all, I just want to say 5 weeks ago, was it, or 5 months ago?
But
When we were here at Brian, he was getting through this meeting so he could run out and have a baby, and I think that all happened in the same night.
I had an hour to spare.
I'm here, and I put an official request through Bridget, but they have consideration given, and I know it'll be in the fall, but it would be either denied or accepted, but for the additional street that has been now put on the assessment, so we have the initial $36,000 to bring the sewer and water underneath, and I think this would be an opportune time for that. There's another $58,000 that's for that street. What I'd ask for is that that will potentially at some point become developed land or sold as a chunk. And there's a potential option to do just interest only, and then once the sale happens, to have a balloon on all of the principal. So that would be my request to be considered, please. So would it only be for the chunk for the street? I'm not, the other one will be paid as normal. There would be to take that across, it's either what, 10, 12, or 15-year bond. The expectation is that property would probably be marketed in the next, 3 to 5 years. At that point, the balloon would be for the principal amount, but just interest only. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
On the agenda eventually.
What?
Are you looking for that to be on the agenda eventually, or?
It will be at the assessment hearing, but I have done some research that does allow, in exceptional and unusual circumstances, to make exceptions to how the assessments are done, so that wouldn't be inappropriate to do in October.
Okay.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Art.
Art Becker's 1106 First Street South. Is there any reason why the city doesn't extend this and annex out to Highway 23 all the way out?
Annexation is either done by the landowner, or the city can do up to 250 acres a year by ordinance. As far as I've known, we've always done annexation in the city through a joint resolution with the township and working together. And so it's not something that would necessarily be proposed automatically for the city to do over the objection of the landowners in the township. So if they wanted to come in, that's when usually annexation happens.
I can see why they wouldn't want to annex in to the city because of the, the road and everything, the cost that it would bring to them. Then the next question, I got 3 of them actually. The other question is, Lumber One, do they own some property going up that hill to the north? They have some land that's for sale or lots for sale. Are they being assessed for this also?
No, because that's inside Maple Ridge. So that was assessed when Maple Ridge was put in. So whenever any of the Maple Ridge improvements.
Okay, but they're inside the boundaries of the 17th Street to the east.
Oh, those ones along, no, those frontages are on First Street North. Is that what that is in Maple Ridge? Second Street North. So that's when they were assessed, was when all that went in. Those properties would always be assessed based on their frontage, which is considered Second Street North.
Okay. Then the other question I have, I raised it up about putting a stoplight out on the west end of 158 there. Did you contact the county or the state to have a light put out there for access to cross 23 with the addition, because of the golf course and
Right.
all the traffic that goes out that way?
I did not, because that's not in city limits. So that would be something that the township or the county would have to. That's MnDOT's decision to make.
Would we have to drop a petition to get a light put out there?
They'd have to do a traffic study, I believe, right, Jeff?
Yeah, well, you'd have to go through MnDOT, and I'm not sure what they would require for MnDOT's call to put one there. And then if they decide to put one there, then we would have some sort of cost share agreement with MnDOT, but unless MnDOT agrees to it, they would have to agree with it.
I think Wakefield brought something up once, and that's why the flashing lights are there, isn't it?
No, actually,
That, Rickles system.
when I still worked with the granite company before I retired, we contacted MinDOT to make that request. They did a traffic count and said that there was not enough traffic to warrant a stoplight system in there.
Is that for crossing 23 to get onto 23, or is it, because I believe there's a lot of traffic right now, and if anybody disagrees, a lot of traffic comes down First Street now because they can't get out on 23 to cross 23 to head east.
You know,
They come through town here. I think if there was a light out there, I think you would get more people going out that direction to get onto 23 and travel east, which would be more accessible to
well,
them.
after repeated requests of MinDOT, they finally agreed to put in that system they now have. But that's totally up to MinDOT. And that's where the discussion needs to take place. They control it. And the county, the township, the city has nothing to do with it.
Does anybody have an objection if we were to draw up a petition to go ahead and get a stoplight put out there?
Definitely.
Would you,
Yep.
everybody go along with that?
I will. What they're doing is they're just heading down that,
Yeah.
from the hill all the way here and all day long. And the brewery too, you know? They're up there too.
Okay.
Is that your last question, Art?
That's-
All right.
that's what I got right
Thank
now.
you. Thank you very much.
I can give you the township clerk's information too, because you might want to call her and see what they've done recently with MinDOT about that.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything? Go ahead.
Lawrence Tice, 1225 First Street South. What is the actual age of the sewer project between 12th Avenue and 13th Avenue South? The street, how old is it? When was it completed?
12th to 14th is a little bit newer.
A lot bit more.
Yeah.
How exactly when was it? What's the date?
I don't remember off the top. I can look that up. I
Right, that
don't.
date. What about between, from First Street South to Highway 23 and 14th Avenue South? When was it put in? Same time?
Say that again.
The road, 14th Avenue South,
Mhm.
it goes from First Street South.
I think 14th was put in right about that
Same time, that's what I thought. So that those are new road, basically new road. Don't they advertise when they put that in? I think they did. The life expectancy is 50 to 60 years.
That's not, the life expectancy of the road is probably 15 to 20.
Road, talk about sewer.
The sewer does have a longer life expectancy. you are right.
So they're gonna, the county's gonna take care of the road basically, but the sewer that we gotta pay for, that's basically new. There's nothing broke. You didn't find anything broken when you did your camera thing, or did you check it?
We checked that part.
Is it good or bad?
We had to make a decision because the rest of the project is in very bad condition. If we leave a piece, and I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, I think the water was also a different age in there. And so we've run into this before where it's very difficult if we try to replace one utility and keep the other in place. Because of the ground disturbance and the work and the vibration to get compaction back, we tend to damage the utility that's there. We can do it, but it's really difficult. The other problem we run into is that 30 years down the road, when that sewer has hit its design life, now the water is good. And we've got this offsetting, one is good, one is bad, one is good, one is bad. And right now we've been given the opportunity of the county is giving us a large sum of money to tear up the road and to replace the road. We have to replace one of the utilities. We made the decision it doesn't make sense to leave one in there, even though it does have some design life left. It doesn't make sense to leave it because in the long term, it's going to cost us more money. So being that we're in the ground, we're digging, we're replacing everything.
It's gonna cost us more money. That road isn't actually broken, it's all perfectly serviceable, nothing wrong with it. So, if you look at the street on First Street South from 12 all the way to Red River, how old is that? It's something like 50 years, is that correct?
The street surface, I don't know the last, I don't know
The
the
sewer,
but
the sewer.
the sewer, most of that sewer and water is over 50 years old.
Okay, so they got some good service out of it now. If you're gonna tear up between 12th and 14th, should you pay for it? And you're saying that it's a good idea to do that, you know. It's not broken, you're gonna break it, shouldn't we pay for it? Because we didn't get what they said we'd get out of it. Most people get 50 years out of a street sewer project. You pay it once, and 20 years later, they pay it again, because it's convenient. Well, I understand what you're saying, and I agree that that's perfectly logical. But then it's perfectly logical that people want to keep the money in their bill for it, and once somebody else taking it, I mean, it's not broke. So that's not fair, would you say?
We had to make a call.
So you can make it, we have no say, because you don't get enough money to hire a lawyer, and you shut out of luck. That's the bottom line, right? Basically.
All I can say is that we used our best judgment to make a call on what was best for the entire project.
It's all logical, I mean, it's all logical, but that's something that doesn't seem right. Whether you still don't know what the date is, can somebody give you that date when the project was complete?
Yeah, I have that date, I just don't have it with me. I can find that.
15, 20, 25? It'll be a mistake, that's all.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Kurt Polzak, 1020, was it 1021 First Street South. I guess the one question I had was, you said there was a grass boulevard, so that the sidewalk's going to basically remain where it's at? Okay, and still be grass between them.
There'll be grass between the change is that in a lot of the roadways right now, I think is about 48 feet wide. We're going down to 42. By leaving the sidewalk in the same place, the boulevard gets bigger.
Okay. What's the sidewalk? Okay, so it's much larger boulevard.
In a lot of places, we'll have a much larger boulevard.
Second question, I guess. It's more on the assessment value that the estimate that they have, but I mean, mine's over 20 grand, or 15% of the value of the house. I mean, that's a pretty big assessment to hit. And basically, all the equity I've gained is pretty much on just expressing that concern. That's a bit frustrating. That's all I got.
Thank you. Go ahead, Wayne.
Well, one is Wayne Fink, 2410 South Avenue. On what side are we on G land? On the north or the south side?
The boulevard is going to, and for most of the project, will get bigger on both sides.
Then there'll be what, a foot, 2 feet on each side, or?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know that it's, some places we're getting, it's significant, it's almost pushing 10 feet. So 10 feet boulevard.
5 feet on each side?
It depends on where you are. I mean, I can be able to look.
On 2410 South Avenue.
I don't know off the top of my head right there, but I know that we're gaining
Because I
a
just
lot of
got a
areas.
piece of
we're
land
gaining.
just like this. That's not even what they cut.
Yeah, and
That's why I told you before, like sidewalk, then I'm way about the 2 feet.
Mhm.
Well, if I got maybe 6-7 feet, then it's okay, then I got the land.
and that's
You
the
know.
hope, is that by narrowing the roadway, we've actually gained some boulevard width there.
I just want to know on what side.
Yeah, both sides.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Judy Erickson, 523 First Street South. You said construction starts in May. Is that before school lets out? Because I have buses coming to pick up school kids and tri-cab buses. How will that affect that?
We'll be in contact with the bus companies. Really, we have to start before school lets out, just in order to complete the project. There's too much work to get done to get it done within those, the tight window of school. So we'll be in contact with the bus companies, and we'll, if there's specific concerns, please contact Bridget or me, and we'll do our best to work with you and the bus company.
Yep. You have a nice alley, so the bus could, most of you do, except for those that are from 12th to 14th,
It's
8th to 14th.
it's gravel.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's
you do
it's
have-
wide enough, and you have one by May.
have an
Let's
alley.
hope there's no snow or ice in the way.
They come through the alley of the bus?
Perhaps we'll talk with them on what they think is best, but it all depends on what starts in May. They're not going to have it trenched out, most likely.
No, and that's a great point. The road, the first thing we're going to do is mill the bituminous, mill the blacktop off. They'll take that out. The goal throughout the project is to still make the road accessible for you to get to your house, to get to your driveway if we can. There's just times when it's not going to be, when we're digging pipe in front of there, when we're doing concrete work. It'll be a dirt road, it'll be a gravel, but we'll try to make it as accessible as possible. So usually the garbage trucks will still come through. Depending on, if we can get it in good enough condition, maybe the buses can still actually just run through the gravel.
Ethan Reiner, 1023 First Street South. Just out of curiosity, Brian, if that's the case, where would we have to park? Most likely just street, curbside?
Usually, and usually we'll try to keep access to your driveway as often as we can. But really the restrictions are going to be when concrete goes in, when curb goes in, and when your driveway apron goes in. At those points, you can't really drive on it for about 7 days. So at that point, it's parking on the street. And then we try to work with the construction observer who will be out there on behalf of the city. Is going to work with you guys. He's going to give you notification of, hey, concrete's coming. If you have something in the garage you need out, get it out now. Trying to give you as much notice as possible on these things as well. Usually if we're digging pipe, it could be, you could have a 10, 15 foot deep hole in front of your house during the day, but by the end of the day, they usually put everything back together and try and make it passable.
Do you have an idea on how far the excavation will come, past the right of way?
It shouldn't come past the right of way. The only thing happening close to the right of way is really the hookup of your sewer and water service. So we'll bring our new one up and then hook it to your existing one. That happens right at the right of way.
So not much past where the sidewalk ends currently.
Exactly, yeah. Maybe a little bit of grading, but very minimal.
Go ahead.
Kevin Ward, 418 Main. I guess I thought I would be meeting with the city because I'm kind of in a unique situation and I was never contacted. And I just don't know, am I getting driveways? Are we putting in plastic pipe or sewer? Am I getting a 3-inch main? And the things that I was assessed for the first time, am I getting reassessed for all that again? Just on the last assessment, 5 years ago.
On Fifth.
I'm looking at sidewalks. Is that a sidewalk that I just paid for? Curb and gutter I just paid for?
He's on a corner, isn't he?
Yeah, yours is a commercial one.
Yeah.
And I apologize, we were supposed to meet with you, but with the baby, with his baby at the last one, that slipped our, so we will meet with you.
But for instance, the city wants me to have a 3-inch water main. I don't know what's planned to come in there.
Well, right now, I think we have, I have a 6-inch coming in there.
A water main?
A 6-inch water. So it's basically a normal commercial size service. And what we did was we looked at the southern part of your property could be developed into commercial. And so we were trying to think, look ahead and say what would be reasonable to put in if you were to put, I believe it's zone commercial. If you were to put something in there, what would be reasonable to put there?
Right, in the meantime, without having a conversation,
Yep.
there's no driveways over there. So wouldn't that be the time to do it?
Well, and that driveways, those sort of things are still things we can work out. I mean, they aren't necessarily set in stone. Most on a project like this, it's easy because we have existing driveways everywhere that we match. If you want a driveway access there and it works through the city to get one, we have no problem putting it in. Absolutely, we can work.
I just like the handicapped access was all put in and then that, I don't know what they call it, the drain that I paid for the first time. Is that all get knocked out now? Or
The cross gutter, that will get knocked out.
does that figure different? I just got assessed for it a few years ago. Those are the things I'm missing.
No, that's not figured different. And the difference is that your property is a commercial property. So the way the assessment policy talks a lot about single and twin family homes versus commercial properties. Single family homes, if they're on a corner and they've been assessed on one side before, we can't assess them on the other side. It's trying to provide, I guess, the benefit of the doubt to the single family homeowner. Whereas commercial properties, if there is an improvement in your own corner, and there's an improvement on one side and then on the other corner, both sides, according to the policy, are assessed. So we ran into that downtown at the hardware store. We had 2 projects in 2 years, and they got assessed on both
So
sides.
I'm saying this has just been fixed, and now we're refixing kind of the same thing he's saying, but instead of 25 years, we're talking 5 years. We're putting in the same piece of cement together.
Well, and we're also trying to improve the intersection at Fifth. We're cutting the hill down a little bit in order to try and make that a better, it's a pretty steep hill, it's a pretty steep transition right there. So we're trying to, with this project, improve it a little bit if we can.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, and I realize I'm an MD, and I don't want to waste everybody's time here, but I'm also trying to improve my life. And I'm getting assessed $25,000 now. I got assessed $14,000 7 days after I bought the property. First time. And I was told this was to help everything. And now we're going to put in the same sidewalks again and the same frigging and all the same stuff. And I just would like at least a chance to explain what is getting done and what isn't. Benefits or doesn't. And I mean, some of the stuff, I don't know the difference between a sanitary sewer versus sanitary sewer.
Is there a way to
Yeah.
have a meeting with
Yep.
these guys? Can we have you set up a meeting with Brian and,
That's what I thought was gonna happen, so it's
Yeah.
really no
yeah.
Yep.
Can we do that, Brian?
Absolutely.
Yep.
So that so you can get some of those questions answered? Have a private meeting with him?
Yep. Kevin, I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay? All right. Thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Jason Torberg, 1221 First Street South. Just a question, piggybacking off of Larry's question, other between 12th and 14th, obviously. Would there be any consideration given for like a proration or a credit or something for that section, because it's not even half its life, so there's got to be some kind of, I'm just asking for a consideration. I understand pulling the same way on a part of the project makes complete sense. I'm just saying for that section's already been assessed and it's only half old, if you will. Just asking the question, the consideration given for that section of properties since it's already been paid for by those property owners.
From what I remember on that assessment, I think there was a street assessment, but I think those on First Street South in that section were assessed a very, very low dollar amount.
It was something like 7 something.
It was like $7 a foot. And I think it was because of the county participation in the roadway. And I know I don't know the exact year, but if I'm thinking right, it's right around 2000, 2001, somewhere in the early 2000s. And so if we start looking at the life expectancy of the road, we're over 50% of the life expectancy of the road. And so I guess my thought would be difficult to prorate.
I'm not speaking of the road, it's more of the sewer.
And I don't know that I don't know if the sewer was actually assessed or not.
I don't know when the sewer went in there. I don't think the sewer went in with that road project.
You're right, I don't think it did, because the sewer is offset.
The road was done.
The sewer is offset in there because I think it was in the ditch, because I don't think there was curb and cutter. So the sewer may or may not have been assessed initially.
Okay, you assessed me when they did 14th Street. I'm on First, on a corner. I won't get assessed.
First and 14th in the northeast corner?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one we looked at when we were looking closer at this, because you were assessed with 14th. And I know it says it on here that you will be, but we looked closer at that, and because you were assessed with 14th and you're a single-family property, you can't assess you on First, for the street. For the sewer and water, that assessment stays because your services come off.
The water comes in from the back and the sewer
Okay.
comes from the 14th.
Well, and I'll look for sure at that. You have.
Yep.
Water comes in from the back and the sewer comes in from the 14th.
Bridget, could you just double check on that date for those
Yeah.
gentlemen, please? please. Thank you.
Oh, you're west of 14.
Right.
You're in the northwest.
Northwest corner.
Yeah, so, okay, so I'm sorry, I was confused. I thought you were on the northeast
Oh.
corner.
Okay.
Northwest corner.
Yep.
So, because the street, you're correct, we can't assess because you were assessed with 14, and you did not have sewer and water assessment. I don't,
They're not assessing me nothing now, right?
Did your letter only have street on it when you got your letter
I
for
got
tonight?
that.
yeah, it only had street, so that assessment will go away because we can't assess you for that because you were assessed with 14. And that's where the city policy comes in on single family homes. Sorry for the confusion.
Okay.
Anybody else? Anybody? One more time, anybody?
I got one other question.
Okay, go ahead, Art. Now I have to do this 3 more
Are they
times.
going to start taking down the big trees out on First Street South, on the west side, or on the south side?
They're going to start.
Monday.
yes.
Monday.
Monday?
Monday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's that going to affect the traffic at all going through there?
I'm guessing they'll put up some temporary traffic control or maybe
Yeah.
no parking.
I would guess they're
And
gonna.
Who's getting the wood?
I think they're offering it to the homeowners.
Aren't they
weren't
offering it home to
I think
homeowners?
if the homeowner wants it, when you see him come, go talk to him.
Okay. What about the stuff going up the hill? Bell Hill? Is that all?
Bacchus's?
That's Bacchus.
That's spoken, well, the south side is spoken for by the landowner who's
Yeah,
here.
right there.
The north side, you can go talk to Lumber One about.
I'm trying to cut down my costs. I'm gonna sell it.
So
I would talk to Lumber One, they're the other side. Lumber One's the north side, I don't know what they're doing with it, so,
I would
Number
say,
one?
is on the north side of Bells Hill, past the,
Number one?
yeah, owns all that.
I would say if you talk to the contractor doing it and there's folks that don't want theirs and you'd have to get rid of, then you can strike a deal. Great.
Is anybody else? Go ahead.
How far in are they picking trees down off the,
Right now, we're only taking
Just-
trees in the right of way. So basically inside in the boulevard area.
okay.
There are, if we encounter one or two during construction, that there's a chance that there might be some that the water service comes straight under, or there's some other issue. We'll have to talk with the homeowners about.
Okay. I have some that are fairly close to the sidewalk.
Right now, we're trying to only take those that are within city and county right of way.
Anybody else? Going once, going twice, and 3 times. Okay, we're gonna close this public hearing at 7:12. Okay, city council discussion. Anybody got anything?
I don't have anything, sir.
All right, then
I just
I will. Okay, go ahead,
I just want
Shannon.
to make sure we get the meeting taken care of.
Yep.
And then if you can get those gentlemen the date
Yeah.
on
get them all
that, just so
figured
that we
out.
can
Date and
just get
costs
that cleared.
that were assessed.
Yeah, that would be
All right,
great.
thank you.
Yep.
Then we'll go on to Resolution 2020-08. Order plans and specifications for Main Street Improvement Project. Recommendation to approve Resolution 2020-08, a resolution ordering the improvements and preparations of the plans and specifications for the County Road 158 reconstruction project. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
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 Against? Motion carries. All right. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys can
Feel
sit
free
and
to
listen
stay and
Ann.
listen to the rest of it if you want.
You can sit and listen to our
Yeah,
fire chief
we
too.
still have the rest of the meeting to go if you want to stay.
Yeah. Heidi? 597.
I was just looking.
They're gonna come through. I can get it real quick. Here, can I write the township on here too?
Yeah.
Hard to swallow.
Does she
But it could happen at any other.
God, yes.
71.
Bridget, do you have
Yeah. Kevin, I have your information.
Oh, you got it.
Heidi for the Wakefield Township, 597-8155.
Okay.
Heidi.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I'll get in contact with her, probably send me in. We'll see what we can draw up.
Yep.
It would be nice to get a light out there. I know some people cross over the golf course.
I'm sure. Oh, yeah.
I know.
So,
Yeah, well, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
all right. Good luck.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Number 7. Fire Department request to purchase battery-operated extrication tools.
Extraction.
Mr. Weber.
Yes, you are. So move that towards you, please.
Now am I?
Yes.
All right.
Do you want me to read the recommendation? Or?
I could read the recommendation if you explain it real quick.
Okay,
I'll read it, Dave.
To approve the purchase of battery-operated extrication equipment. It's a cutter, spreader, ram. That's three different machines. And a power supply adapter and a scene light at a cost of $33,154.50. And furthermore, be paid out of the Fire Department Fund 31-40-42-6311. Our extrication equipment right now is almost close to 20 years old. We had somebody come and demonstrate to us the new battery operated. It's just a big battery that goes onto it's a cutter which would cut the hose off of a car. The ram is what would push the dash, if it's curled in, push the dash away. It extends out to like 50 some inches. And the spreader is what we'd use to go in a door and spread the door open on a car accident and stuff.
How long does this battery last? Or is it
They're saying-
rechargeable or like
yes,
what?
Yes, they're rechargeable.
Okay.
They'll be on chargers all the time.
Okay, because I'm like,
Yeah, nope, they're big batteries. They're like almost the size of the ones you put in those power augers, that we have for fishing.
oh yeah.
So they're big batteries. Talked to a few other departments and they love theirs. Very strong. There's hydraulic inside of the machine, so that's what's pushing the jaws and stuff. So just like to update our equipment on that. And
Yeah, the old stuff's got to be 20 years old.
right around 20 years old. But yeah, it's a lot quicker. The one we do have now is gas driven or gas powered, I should say, and it's not as, we haven't had an issue yet, but at drills we have, so that's why we have drills.
Yeah.
But we'll get started and stuff, so.
No.
Looked into possibly being able to sell it to a small department or something west. We'll put it on websites and stuff and see if we can get any money for it. The company that got this quote from is saying that good luck, he said. But we can at least try.
You know, it'd be nice to consider maybe even donating it to a very small department, you know, where they really struggle to get funds to
Right.
do anything. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be a great thing too, if you can't really get much.
Well, it's
for it.
something that,
I agree
yeah,
with that.
some that we could put on the League of Minnesota Cities and see if
Yeah.
there is a smaller
Pass it
department.
on to someone
Mhm.
else.
Yeah.
I would think the
Any other
same thing.
questions on that at all?
Well, I was just amazed that this battery could, spreader could like have that much power to,
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Like-
We had them here for a drill and it was unreal.
Okay.
Rockville has those right now and they like it, so.
Yeah.
I've heard of them.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty good. I need a motion on that recommendation, though.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion, how about a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Is there any discussion on it?
Give Dan his toys.
Yeah.
Don't get the kids their toys.
Yeah, that's something I know is overdue, because that one's very,
The one we have, you know, it's done due cause already for all the things, bad crashes we've had and stuff, so.
I bet you that's closer to 25 years old.
Probably. It's almost as old as I'm in the department, so.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
I don't think they voted.
well, all
All
those
right,
in favor?
all
Aye.
those in favor?
Aye.
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 Against? Motion carries.
Anything else?
Thanks, Dan. Is that it?
Just give an update, we're close, almost getting close to hitting 100 calls since,
Really?
December 1st.
stops.
No, it don't. And if we don't get rain pretty soon, we're gonna have
You're gonna have a bunch of calls.
grass fires, so.
Yeah.
There's burning restrictions, you have to get a burning permit outside the city, and inside the city you can't burn unless you're burning in one of those
Okay.
closed fire pits, so.
Yeah.
All righty?
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll go on to number 8. Utility easement for water line from DM Dingman Farms LLC. Oh, that's them guys, huh? They're doing this.
Yep.
You just want to give me a little recap of this?
You want me to do it?
Oh, I can, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
You want me to. So these are the, this is the alternate route we came up with that makes a lot more sense, open digging through fields. I met with both Ray and Eddie Fraley and then Dave Dingman and his son, and we came to an agreement on some terms, and they seem more than willing to work with the city on this, and it should save us a lot of money in the long run.
So John, that allows, if I understand correctly, that allows you to go above ground, is it, versus going under?
No,
Or-
it allows us to go straight to the brewery,
Oh,
straight
okay.
straight to County Road 2 in direction of the brewery.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're not going down, I think it's,
Yeah,
I know it's over
Like
1,500
the-
feet less of pipe or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And this will allow open digging instead
Yeah,
of
instead of
boring
directional
underground.
boring.
That's what I meant.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what you
yeah.
meant?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
Less cost.
Yep, open trench, digging through fields, no utilities, there's only one petroleum line that we'll be crossing, so
Yeah,
pretty simple digging.
yeah,
There'll be a little bit of
Good
boring
deal.
yet to get under the wetland, but
yeah.
Okay.
it'll be a much smaller piece.
And that would have been there either way, because that wetland runs the whole
Sure.
down to the river.
Yep.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good negotiator.
Okay, recommendation to approve accepting utility easement from DM Dingman Farms LLC at a cost of $7,413 and authorize the mayor and city administrator to sign all related documents and furthermore to be paid for out of the Water Department Fund 13-70-71-6413. I need a motion on that.
Make a motion.
Shannon makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
Gary seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Okay, number 9. Utility easement for water line from Joseph Fraley Trust, Julie Fraley, Eddie Fraley, and Ray Fraley. I'll just read the recommendation because it's the same
just the
thing,
front part of
right?
the property that we
It's the
gotta go
same,
through, so.
yeah. Recommendation to approve accepting the utility easement from Joseph E. Fraley Trust, Julie Fraley, Eddie Fraley and Ray Fraley at a cost of $7,278, and authorize the mayor and city administrator to sign all related documents, and furthermore to be paid for out of the Water Fund 13-70-71-6413. I need a motion on that one.
I'll make a motion.
Shannon makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Number 10, Public Works Director report. John Stevie.
All right, the first thing I got on my report tonight is the trailer for the street department / parks. We've been limping along some homemade trailers for quite some time, a lot of years. And it's time we put in the budget for a decent dump trailer and hauling trailer, so there's times we go around town. This will be capable to haul the skid loader up to like North Point Park or something instead of taking 20 minutes driving the skid loader from the shop, or different things like that, hauling in mulch for our parks. So we put in the budget last year for this year. We got a state bid price from Farm Ready Equipment, and if you wanted to read the recommendation, 50% will come out of parks and 50% streets.
Okay. Recommendation to approve the purchase of a 14-foot dump skid loader trailer from Farm Right Equipment at a cost of $7,650, and furthermore to be paid for 50% from the Streets Department budget equipment line item 6313, and 50% from the Parks Department budget equipment line item 6311. I need a motion on that one.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Another item we're looking to purchase is the skid loader bucket and grapple bucket for the skid loader, once again from Farm Right Equipment, for a combined purchase price of $5,000.
Okay, recommendation to approve the purchase of a skid loader bucket and grapple from Farm Right Equipment at a price of $5,000, and furthermore to be paid out of the Streets Department budget equipment line item 6311. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
Shannon makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
A little update, kind of talked about the easement tonight, and then with the well drilling, Trout's been out there doing some boring. They drilled a couple spots that we had approved last time. They weren't real excited about the amount of water we wanted out of those spots with the geology they found, so they are going to drill a couple more spots. It's a lot cheaper to drill, to do some boring and get a look at their geology before, instead of putting in a test well. So they're going to search a couple more spots on the property while they're here. With the timeline and the brewery's needs, it works out to just keep them rolling. Currently, they're looking at something like 500 to 800 gallon per minute wells. It should suffix our needs for what the brewery wants out of the line 5 and 4 for now. So they're kind of moving forward, drilling, I think 3 more spots is what they want to do on that property. And this just protects it. It's information that we can use now for the future and forever. So that's kind of the progress of the wells. I know they're talking 2 to 3 weeks for screen design and things like that. So it's still a little ways out, but it's kind of coordinating along fairly decent with the brewery schedule. Water treatment plant update. We haven't had a meeting since the last one. We're at about 60% design. I think we got a meeting coming up here shortly with Stantec on that, 2 weeks. So
We've been working on kind of laying out the site. How does everything fit on our property? In addition to stuff inside the building.
and that's all I got.
That's all you got? Any questions for John? Let's thank you very much.
If you don't mind, I'm going to take off, so.
Yep.
All right, see you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Okay, number 11, city engineer report, Brian Lynchen.
Mr. Mayor and Council, County Road 158, as we mentioned, tree clearing is anticipated to start on Monday. So there's been a little bit happening already, but the bulk of it should be taking place here very shortly. Bids are due on the project this Friday. So we'll see where numbers come in. We've seen a couple of projects lately that have been pretty good, favorable for the city, so we have our fingers crossed that hopefully that extends to ours.
Yeah.
Maybe the lower price of oil will help us, I hope. The last thing on 158, in my memo, I put a picture on here just outside of City Hall to the south of us. There's a structure in the boulevard that's a gas regulating station. Through this block, we're going to be redoing some of the gas mains because we have some elevation changes. They want to do some upgrades. I was approached by CenterPoint Energy, and they asked if we'd be willing to move that gas regulating station onto or behind the sidewalk. So the city owns a little ways up the hill behind the garage behind the police station. And they asked if the city would be willing to provide an easement to put that station behind the sidewalk and then kind of clear up that boulevard. Currently, we actually have the sidewalk going out and around in order to clear it.
Yeah, I know it.
So I know Bridget and I talked a little bit about it. From the standpoint of engineering and administration, we didn't see any issues, but wanted to talk to you guys and see what your thoughts were. We don't have anything official, but if you have a definite direction one way or the other, I can give that to CenterPoint. They're looking to finish their design.
So if it gets in the way when we remodel,
I don't, well, even with the,
would we, I'm just trying to think if we're
I
going back.
don't think so, 'cause I don't think we
we'll
were
go
going
back
past the
past the garage.
Past the garage, so,
Right.
and this
Okay.
would be a little bit further up the hill.
Okay, then I don't care.
It'll be like right behind the garage then.
Basically, it would go,
Well,
I
that's what I
think,
think.
straight,
Well, I think
straight
it's-
back from where it is.
I
Oh,
think it's
straight
almost-
back from
yeah.
where it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's kind of
It's already 12 or 15 feet
Yeah.
from the
It'd be
garage.
towards,
Yeah.
it's in the western, of the piece we have, of that piece between our property line and the garage, it's kind of in the western third, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, I'd have no problem doing
Then,
no
issues with
so
that.
be it.
In fact, that's
Do
a
we
great
need a
idea.
motion on that, or
But I mean, I would like it moved then.
do we need a motion on that, or?
Should we do a motion and then we
Sure.
we
To
can
allow them to
confidently tell
design it
them
that way.
to
I'll make a motion
move
to
it?
approve it.
Gary makes a motion, how about a second?
I'll second it.
Jamie seconds it, any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
I do have a question though, with that telephone pole and that electrical box on the corner of the boulevard there by the garage corner, can we move that too, or will that get moved or not?
I think that's staying put. We're really not
Okay.
moving any there's, I think, maybe one pole that we're moving
Okay.
with this project. So we're not doing a whole lot of wholesale electrical changes, mainly because it's really expensive. And I think that one's going to be tough because I think that runs
That runs this way.
east-west, so it's.
Yeah, you can see a line.
And then, and north-south, so we might kind of be stuck with it.
Okay.
I think if there were future building improvements that required moving it, that'd be the time then to do it.
Okay.
So, Bridget and I will then work with CenterPoint to get them an easement on our property.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions on County Road 158?
No.
All right. John covered the water treatment plant. Next would be wells 8 and 9. John covered that we're starting on the test boring. So working through that process. We've obtained the easements from Dingman and Fraley for the water line. So really that next step is we need to design the water line. So the way this project is working, we're kind of dividing it out into about 3 parts. We have the wells are their own project, so we could keep moving on those. The water main, basically from the north side of the brewery up to somewhere in our plat near the wells, would be one project, just so basically time is of the essence on that one to try and get it in before the crops get in. So that's why we've been working through these easements. We've been looking at that area through there. The third project would then be the pumps, the controls, the roadway coming off of Greystone, the overhead power, everything else to support the well field. And then some piping to actually hook up to the wells once we know where they are. So, and I think I had included in the packet as well, kind of a scope of what that water main would take, installation and inspection of the water main would be. So that would really be our next step. If we're tight on the schedule, basically at the next meeting, I'll be coming back to you with plans for approval.
Okay.
We'll advertise, we'll get a bid, and we have 3 to 4 weeks for the contractor to put it in to try and get ahead of the crops.
All right, then I'll read that recommendation. To approve the scope of work and fees for the water main from wells 8 and 9. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Jamie makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second that.
Shannon seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
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 Against? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Get her done.
We'll be working on it tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Otherwise, that's all I had. If there were
Okay,
any other
anybody got questions for Brian? Otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And we'll go on to number 12, Police Department Report. Chief Bloom.
Mr. Mayor, Council, good evening.
Hi, Jason.
Not a whole lot for me tonight, more just updates. For February of this year, we had, in Cold Spring, we had 290 total incidents, 18 medicals, 4 suspicious activities, 137 traffic stops with 41 citations. And in those traffic stops, 7 narcotic violations and 131 miscellaneous calls for service. In February for Richmond, we had 123 total incidents, 6 medicals, 7 suspicious activities, 61 traffic stops with 11 citations, and then 1 narcotic violation in those stops, and then 49 miscellaneous calls for service. With the warmer weather, I brought it up in the past, we've had issues with, they call it car shopping, but the trend we're seeing now is people are traveling from small town to small town and usually trying to steal stuff from the local businesses that are open, normally gas stations in the middle of the night, and then they'll also hit town for 20 to 30 minutes, run around, pull doors, check cars, and mainly what they're doing is looking for vehicles that are unlocked, and they'll grab change, electronics, anything that's easy to grab and hard to track. We've had that happen a couple times in the last 2 months here. So just the best way you can protect yourself is to lock your car doors, park them in the garage, anything you can do to, and they're just tugging on the door. If it's locked, they move on. So that's the best and easiest way to protect yourself. So just trying to get that word out. Also, the school's allowing us to do some training up at their facility, or at the high school, on March 18th. They asked us to advertise a little bit because there's going to be probably 12 to 15 different squads there, and they've received calls in the past of what's going on at the high school. We're just up there doing training. They're aware, and they've given us permission to do it, so I'm just trying to get that word out there. And then just, again, with the free CPR training that's coming up, it's on Saturday, March 28th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., and Wednesday, April 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at 3rd Street Brewhouse. I know they're starting to fill up, but there is still room, so if people can get out there and sign up for that.
All right.
And that's all I have, unless you guys have questions for me.
Anybody?
No, nothing for me. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 13, City Administrator Report.
Mine are mostly updates. The EAW's been out for now almost 2 weeks. I've had 3 agencies ask for a copy of it, but I haven't received any feedback about it. The comment period ends March 25th. And then they've not actually requested, but they have verbally requested and not paid for a special meeting, but they would like a special meeting on March 31st to address the EAW. There may be another request for a special meeting for TIF. I think we've got our negotiation to where they're ready to come to the city council with it. And now there's one more special meeting that was brought to my attention that would be another fee, but I don't know if they're going to ask for that one. And I can't remember what it was. And so that's where we're at with the EAW. I think it's moving along fine. There really was nothing significant in the report about it, since it's a wide open field that's been farmed for almost 100 years. So that's that. The next one is the Moody's rating. You got the letter from Moody's. They upgraded us again. just like S&P did, which is excellent. Jess thinks that's especially good now that we're looking at going out to bond. And Moody's we notified them that we were, and that was in there, and they still upgraded us, so that's a good thing. Next one is direct balloting. So as you remember, the county required us to be open for 7 days before every election to allow people to do direct balloting, which used to be called absentee balloting, but it's in person. They came in, they filled out a request for a ballot, they voted, and it went straight into the machine as opposed to mailing it in like the rest of absentee balloting from January till March 25th. We had 2 election judges here each day from 7:30 to 4:30, and we had 6 ballots total in 7 days. You saw it's $2,000 for the time period that was city spent. That's supposed to be reimbursable because the state is reimbursing all PNP balloting, so presidential nominating, that's what that election was. All the expenses from that 7 days plus the day of election are supposed to be reimbursed. So we'll be submitting that sheet that we had with all our documentation that says why we spent $4,000. In August at the primary, we have to do it again. It's the 7 days before, and we have to do it again in November. And that reimbursement will
have to.
According to the county.
Have to.
Yep. According to the county, we will be getting only $757.50.
There's no loophole.
They said they could do it without paying us. You saw the Albany letter, and I'm more than willing to write a very similar letter. And if you would like, I'd have the mayor sign it and submit it to the auditor on why this. They did this with 11 cities, so 11 cities paid about $4,000 for, well, $2,000 for 6 ballots, 7 ballots.
It's really a sad way to
What a
spend
waste of
taxpayer
time and money.
I think so, too.
I would support the idea of doing that letter.
Okay, then I will draft one up and get it for the mayor to sign.
What's the alternative?
The alternative is the absentee balloting is done at the county and Melrose. Those are the 2 places where it's always been done. So if you were in St. Cloud, you could go downtown or to the Waite Park Service Center.
Oh, so they're just trying to
They're trying to free up.
centralize it for the person.
Yeah.
whoever's- Okay.
Yeah.
So
They
the
anticipate that
people that came here could have gone.
Melrose or St. Cloud.
Yeah.
Right.
in
mailed
2016, I think there were a total of absentee ballots before you could do direct balloting here. I want to say it was a total of 86 ballots that were cast absentee from the Cold Spring precinct. And they anticipate there's going to be 125. Well, that's a lot of money for 40 more ballots.
So I would go along with the letter. And, oh God, I have such I just feel like there's got to be a loophole or something. Like I just wish there was something where we could say, we are not spending this money, we're not doing this.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous to spend that kind of money on.
This is, it's ridiculous to have.
Yeah. So I will send a letter and
There's
we'll
gotta
see what
be
the response is. I know Albany is, and I believe a couple other cities are sending letters too. So that might cause a conversation.
I hope that it causes a very
Yeah.
good conversation. Maybe we all need to make some phone calls also.
To the county commissioners.
Yep.
So this wasn't a state thing, it was a county.
Right. The statute allows the county to
make that
make it that every polling place has to do it. But they did it to just 11 cities because of the population size, I believe.
Okay.
The 11 larger cities.
Well, we'll be down at the Capitol next week.
Yep.
We'll have a conversation with Lisa and Jeff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amongst the other things we need to talk about.
Right, which is the next one on the list. I have the mayor signed up and Councilmember Knapp. I know Councilmember Schmidt is not able to go. I don't know if, and I didn't think you were. either were, so,
No, I'm
okay.
not able
Then the three of us will be going.
I thought you were going to,
I looked at the agenda
okay.
and with everything going on, it wasn't, this was more important to go to than the other.
Okay. Are you able to set up meetings with?
I'm working on it, yeah.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Next one, Community Showcase is April 4th, and Robert Harris will be scheduling all the time slots, so you may get an email from him for the booth that we share with, or that you share with EDA. I'm assuming he talked about it last night at the EDA. Oh, he didn't.
No, we didn't.
About that.
Okay. Well, the other EDA members will be getting emails to see if they're able to man the booth, and you all will get, if you're able to, on that day too. And last, we got 13 submissions. I had 35 inquiries from people wanting the RFP sent to them to review, and of those 35, 13 architectural firms submitted RFPs. Staff have gone through. We looked at experience. We looked at location of the firms. We looked a little bit at their fees, but it was more what kind of work they've done in fire and police halls. And I think those were the primary. We rated them and found 6 of the 13 that all 13 will go to planning next week, with the 6 being the recommended from staff, and then that planning make a decision to forward as many as they want to you. Takes time to go through them all, so I'm wondering if once planning's done, since there's a potential March 31st special meeting, so that's not 2 weeks, it's 3 weeks away, either do it right after the special meeting and have a workshop on reviewing them, or, well, it's a special meeting, but it would be a workshop special meeting. You can review all of them, or just the ones the planning recommends, or the 6 that staff recommends. I'm wondering if that's the day to do it instead of on the 24th or do it on the 24th, the next city council meeting. That could be a workshop after the meeting or before the meeting.
I would think that we could after. And,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have any, we wouldn't have any, like, hearings or anything. You know what I mean? That would take up a bunch of time.
On the 24th?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that
we
day
could
shouldn't be
definitely do
too.
it that day
Oh.
after. I wouldn't.
Since you're already
we
here.
Since we're already here.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I'm saying.
I was
you
gonna
know.
say either one doesn't,
It'd be nice to move it to keep it on the 24th to just keep the timeline
Right.
moving forward.
yeah, we could do that. Let's do
Okay.
that.
I would just prefer it since we're already here.
Okay.
And I mean, our next meeting could last 20 minutes, and then we'll have the rest of the time to do that.
Right. Yep. Okay. I will schedule a workshop after, a special meeting workshop after the regular meeting.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And that's all I have.
All right. Any questions for Bridget? Otherwise, we'll move on to number 14. List of bills and additions. Recommendation to review and accept payment of the accounts payable according to the list and supplemental list presented by city staff. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Number 15, questions and comments from city council. Jamie?
Nothing for me, sir.
Shannon? Gary? And nothing from me. Number 16, next meeting, 24th March, and I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Shannon makes a motion. How about a second?
Second.
Gary seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.